Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Impact Review. So, I wish to say, one, I hope you like the new intro. I'm still trying to work it out. If you think I shouldn't even have an intro on this channel, leave me a comment below. I'm still kind of questioning, should I use that intro again? It was kind of a hard one, you know? But that's how I felt. Now, let's get to the show. I'm going to say this. The way that they're doing this show didn't feel like directly it's building towards Bound for Glory. At the end, it did feel like they did try to put something in that will make Bound for Glory a question. But do I believe it was interest into Bound for Glory? No. It was too broad. So let's get into the beginning of the show. When you see the Aces and Eights versus the Main Event Mafia, you think, is this over with? Are they finally breaking them apart? Now, I said in my previous video that they may break off into another faction. I was hoping it would not happen because I don't want to see a new faction from these guys. Nexus to the Core. The Core was a piece of crap. Did not work. It was worse than Nexus. So I'm really hoping this does not solidify. But you never know. So the opening of the show was not interesting to me. Last week, Mike Knox stepped up and did a pretty good promo. But in this respect, even though it wasn't bad for him either, again, I had no real interest. I didn't. Knowing that one of them was going to be kicked out, excuse me, one of them was going to be kicked out if they lose, really didn't perk my interest up either. It just made me feel, you know what, finally, they're getting rid of another person. Let's end this. That's what I was hoping for. And that pretty much is what we got. Now, when it comes to the Main Event Mafia, I don't know what direction they're pushing Magnus in. I'm glad they're pushing him. They're doing something with him. But I'm hoping it's something good. I just don't know. Him being angry to go out, he wants to go after Ego so badly, he doesn't give a damn about Main Event Mafia dealing with Aces and Eights. That's understandable. He's been screwed by them. But the question is, what are they going to be doing? If Main Event Mafia is now going after Ego, which they should, it's much more interesting, way more interesting than Aces and Eights. What will they do with Magnus? Are they going to turn him heel and then face maybe Sting or something? Because if they do that against Samoa Joe, they've done that already. But him going against Sting might be interesting, but it's got to be in a way to make Magnus go into the main event. I just don't know. So the match itself, I didn't really care about it. But it was interesting enough that I was like, okay, Magnus has been taken out by Ego, so next week we're going to get something with him dealing with Ego. I have no problem with that. So once Sting and Joe dealt with them, Joe wins by rear naked choke on Wes. So Wes is now gone. And Wes got his ass knocked out and handed to him by Bully Ray. The question was Mike Knox going to attack Bully Ray? The Arkansas crowd, Little Rock, really was cheering for Mike Knox to attack Bully Ray, not to do it. But he hands over the cut and picks up Wes and they leave. What does this mean? It's obvious they're going to do something with Mike Knox dealing with Bully Ray, maybe eventually. Is that going to be interesting? No. But it is what they're doing, and I'm hoping that will be the catalyst for Aces and Eights to fully implode. You can even hear it in Taz's voice, and Taz is still shit on the mic. But the way Taz has been working is to be... Taz can't go in the ring. So when this is all over, Taz will have to revert back to his normal self, which wasn't good anyway. It wasn't that great. But in the end, we'll see Taz go back to normal. But how are they going to introduce Taz into this? Because they're going to. Taz was introduced into this. It's going to happen. Let's just hope it's short. That's what I'm hoping for. Now, the next thing that wasn't totally interesting to me was the ODB and Young Husband and Park versus Gail Kim and Bromance. As much as, look, Gail Kim is a good looking woman. If she was in front of me butt naked, I'd be happy and I'd do something. If ODB was in front of me butt naked, I'd be happy to do something. But As much as these two women are not bad looking at all, they're good looking women, could not save this match. I was not truly interested or into this match. I believe it's a plot device for Abyss. When you look at the backstage segment before the match, and they're saying, Joseph, you're not to shave. No shaving before a match because you lose your mind. That made me think, simply, this has got to be a plot device for the Abyss. It's a slow plot device. How can I say this? I still believe that bromance is going to be involved in bringing the Abyss back. At least for the moment. I just have no real interest in them. I don't. But if this does bring the Abyss back quicker, more power to them. I'm going to stick with that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, simply Kurt Angle coming back. Please, you guys tell me below, do you actually believe Kurt Angle should be coming back to be a full wrestler? It's different with Hardy. I really believe Hardy is a better candidate for coming back the way he did and doing something better. But Kurt Angle, I don't feel that from him. I'm not saying Kurt Angle's a total dick, even though he is a jackass for what he did to the Danny Hodge Lou Fez Museum. I believe I'm pronouncing it right. Please tell me below if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I really try to get it right. A lot of times I don't. But the point here is this. He may be a jackass, but it is obvious he has a severe problem. I would have liked him to go away for about 6 months to a year and then come back. He needs time off. He's lost his wife. He has problems with his ex-wife, with his kids. He has injury problems. I believe it's not the wisest thing for him to do to come back this soon. It's been maybe a month, maybe 2. It's too soon. Jeff Hardy took more time than he did, as far as I remember. And I really believe he should not come back other than just to go to Bound for Glory and just be seen at the Hall of Fame ceremony. That's all. Let him just come back for the Hall of Fame and then go back to where he was before to clean himself up properly. If he comes back wrestling, I don't expect it to work very long and very well. Now, the next 2 things I'm going to talk about are the vignettes that we saw. Ethan, if I'm pronouncing it right. E-T-H-A-N, Ethan. I don't know who that is. But if you guys can tell me below. But the way they made the vignette was extremely bold. Very sparkly with some diamonds in it. Now, I don't think it's a female. It seems like to be a male. And they need some more men in there to be able to make up for all the people they got rid of. Ergo, what happened with they should never got rid of Crimson and made him the way he was before that. Matt Morgan deserved way better. He should have been pushed a long time ago. He deserved to still be there. He decided to leave, which was more power to him. Hopefully they'll do something more better with these guys and girls. But from what I understand, they're not going to be on the road anymore. They're going back to the impact zone. That's where things are going to get boring and bad. I just don't feel that it's right. The best, I'm just hoping for the best. Now, for Leda Tapa. Now, anybody who remembers, I predicted that Leda Tapa would win. Now, a lot of people was mad at, I think her name was Elise Velez. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I don't think it's Evelise. I think it's Velise or Evelise, either one. But they wanted her because she was an MMA star. She was a good wrestler. I understand that. When it came to Leda Tapa, she was so green. She only been wrestling for 2 years. Totally green, completely awkward. I understand that. But as I said in that review, so many months ago, last year actually, I said it's not the point that she's as green as fuck. The point is that we need a large woman in a wrestling promotion that have women. At least back then there was a lot of women. We needed a woman like her. Looking past how green she was, she had the potential to be like another Karma. Or as we know her in TNA, Awesome Kong. You can't tell me, ladies and gentlemen, that Awesome Kong didn't dominate TNA when she was there. And when she went to the WWE for the short time that she was at, she did not shake that shit up. People were dying for her to stay. And for dying for her to come back to the WWE. But she never did. Which was so sad. If she goes back now, She would change the landscape of the Divas division and make it even more interesting than Total Divas. I'm sorry, that's how I feel. But when it comes to Leda Tapa, she could really shake up the Knockouts division. That's if they had women. You only have ODB and Gail Kim. That's it. Look at Miss Tessmacher. She's working with Bully Ray. Look at Velvet Sky. She's working with Sabin. Unless they pull them off periodically to work with her, you have only 2 women. Two for her to actually fuck with. And that's a waste. Unless they bring the women up from OVW or bring back a Tara, a Mickey Jane. I know this is kind of reaching for it. Hell, bring back a fucking Madison Rayne to be a fucking jobber for her. She knows how to job. Let her come back. Bring some women back so we'll have something. But if she has no one to work with, what's the point? Now, Magnet versus Sabin. I was not fond of seeing Sabin being chicken shit. I wasn't. I was not fond of it. It really pissed me off to see that. I'd rather seen Sabin to be a vicious heel than a chicken shit heel. Seeing that he's faking his knee injury isn't bad, but then using Velvet as a shield just... Really? Now, he lost the match, and I'm glad he didn't, because I'd rather see someone else try and go into the X Division. Like I said, like Jeff Hardy. I know people are saying that's stupid, but I do believe that would be the best thing for the X Division. But seeing that a Austin Aries is going to be bothering a Chris Sabin could be a very compelling feud if they do not make Sabin a chicken shit. If they do, I'm not going to be interested. As much as, look, Velvet Sky is a good looking woman. She has breasts that many men would die to touch. She has a face that's not bad at all. And I believe the Slug Daddy said she's a hooker looking. A good looking hooker look. You know, a stripper. Not a hooker, a stripper, I'm sorry. But you get my point. She looks good, but that couldn't save that. I'm just hoping they won't do that. I just hope they'll make him into a more forceful heel. Now, talking about Austin Aries. Austin Aries had his in-ring segment, and he's done so well. From last year, he's been so dominant in TNA. He has such a great charisma that is so good. I'm never bored seeing him. Never. And he did a good interview and 2 good interviews and 1 good in-ring segment. And then guess who came out? Long live the King, baby! I hadn't said that in a long time. Kenny King was on TV, and he pretty much said, no disrespect, but you ain't as great as me. I am way better than you. I have dominated in X Division. In the end, what do we get? We got a fight, and then we got a match, and then we get a busted open head for our Kenny King. Shit. It wasn't bad to see. But when it came down to it, it was Austin Aries who won. It was the best match of the night, in my humble opinion. It was. That match was the best match of the night. Now, I could have said this earlier before Sabin and Manic, but I felt that when it really comes down to it, the question here is this. Sabin, being in this position, going up against Austin Aries, is he still going to be in the title picture? Yes. And I know Mr. Parkin said more than once, how can we actually buy Sabin as a champion? Well, we don't. He's a transitional type of champion. That's all he's good for. And I'm not putting him down. I'm not putting Sabin down. There's been a lot of great superstars, a lot of great wrestlers in WWE and TNA and anywhere else that were great transitional champions. They hold on to the title for a little while, and then they hand it over to somebody else. That's the way it's supposed to be. And I see Sabin staying in the main event scene, and periodically, maybe once or twice a year, he gets the title for a little while. As a heel or a face, it doesn't really matter. And that's the point of it. Let him hold it for a couple of months. He get an extra pay of money. He helps to bring someone up if they're new. Helps to build something up with someone established. And we go from there. And that's the best way to see it. And with Austin Aries, he'll solidify him in the main event scene. He needs Austin Aries. It would have been better. It wouldn't be better if he was with Robert Roode. Austin Aries is a much better talent. He knows how to make someone who's similar to himself work. And since he's been in the main event scene, that's the best thing to do. And that's the reason why I made Austin Aries, the greatest man ever lived, go second before Zane. Okay, let's see here. Anything else? No, I think that's it. Last part is the question mark for the BFG, and that is AJ Styles. Now, Hulk Hogan came out a couple of times in the back and in the ring pretty much saying simply, I am going to be finding out what's going on. I'm going to talk with AJ, and I'm going to make sure everything is dealt with as GM, which he did. He came out, he called AJ, who is still using the combination of both his songs, which I think is almost to the point now where he needs to begin to drop it. As much as it's good that in the very beginning he combined both songs, it's time that he's going to have to drop the new song and go back to the old one, because it's going to reach a point where people are not going to be interested anymore. He's going to have to drop it soon. That's the way I see it. But what did we get? AJ signing the contract, and within 5 minutes, it's null and void. Dixie Carter comes out and says pretty much, you know what? Don't worry, Hulk, I got this. I have to care about the people here. You're all well beneath me. I am the 1% who creates, and I see that this creation position is not good. Tears that bitch up. Within 5 minutes, that contract is null and void. So now here comes the question of what goes on in the BFG, in Bound for Glory. Is AJ going to be there or not? This is actually very compelling TV. It is. And at the end, what do we get? We get Dixie telling Hulk Hogan, look, I learned a lot from you, but you need to make a decision. Are you on board Dixie Carter train? Or are you on board the AJ local? I am the express that's going on the track, while AJ's barely even going along on local. Make your decision next week, and I will tell you your fate. She didn't say that, but that's the way I'm getting it. Now, how do I feel about this show? Well, not everything was really built for Bound for Glory. It wasn't. But I can say at the end of the show, that is a question mark for Bound for Glory. It's not really a build. It's really a tease of what could go wrong with Bound for Glory, not what's going to go right. You see AJ's contract torn up. The question is, who is Bully Ray going to face? There is no contract. And next to that, they're kind of promoting that AJ is still not a member of the roster yet. So is he going to be signed? Will we see someone else over a Dixie Carter, like her dad, who bought the thing for her and she's been running it? Will we see a Hulk Hogan stay with AJ or go on the other side? Are we going to see someone entirely different? The way I feel about how Dixie Carter is dealing with AJ, and you guys tell me below, it feels kind of like a very watered down version of Vince McMahon versus a Steve Austin. She's kind of doing the evil boss moniker. It's obvious she is. But with maybe a tiny taste of what Vince McMahon is. And I'm not saying she's even close. Please don't bash me in that case. But she's trying to do that. She's not a great actress, but she's trying it. We may actually get a feud between Dixie and AJ as Vince McMahon versus Austin. So this could be something interesting. I can't really give this a very good rating, so I'm not going to give a rating this time. Only thing I'm going to say is this. They're really not building 100% for Bound for Glory, but they are making it a question mark what's going to happen on Bound for Glory. I mean, that does sound the same way, but it isn't. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View, and subscribe and comment to my channel. Give me a thumbs up, and please tell me below, do you believe I should keep this intro I'm going to try and do permanently or try something entirely different? Have a good day.